At Sullivan University's College of Hospitality Studies, you'll study under award-winning instructors in an active, creative environment where world-class chefs are made every day. Our regionally accredited curriculum fosters a strong commitment among faculty and students to excel in every detail. We offer insightful instruction and hands-on culinary experience from day one because when it comes to hospitality, you're here to set the bar, not just reach it. This is my passion. This is my path. This is Sullivan.
Sylvia and Chef Jeremy here telling you to grab your crew and head to the Lexington Diner for a great meal for weekend breakfast, brunch, lunch, or dinner.
Yeah, from overstuffed omelets like our hot brown omelet with shaved turkey, ham, and bacon and tomato in there, cheese sauce Mornay on top, to our award-winning flat-top seared, hand-spanked burgers. We serve breakfast all day and night, so from French toast to bacon and eggs, or chicken and waffles to shaved open-faced ribeyes, sandwiches, and Southern-style meatloaf, we've got everybody covered.
We'll see you at the Lexington Diner, where friends meet. www.lexingtondiner.com.
Regionally accredited and named one of the top 20 hospitality schools in the U.S. by Full Service Restaurant Magazine, Sullivan University Lexington's College of Hospitality Studies offers students hands-on culinary experience from day one. Located in one of the country's most progressive business climates, Sullivan University's Lexington campus is designed to help develop the real-world experience and advanced training you'll need to succeed. Pursue your passion at Sullivan University Lexington.
Sylvia and Chef Jeremy here telling you to grab your crew and head to the Lexington Diner for a great meal for weekend breakfast, brunch, lunch, or dinner.
Yeah, from overstuffed omelets like our hot brown omelet with shaved turkey, ham, and bacon and tomato in there, cheese sauce Mornay on top, to our award-winning flat-top seared, hand-spanked burgers. We serve breakfast all day and night, so from French toast to bacon and eggs, or chicken and waffles to shaved open-faced ribeyes, sandwiches, and Southern-style meatloaf, we've got everybody covered.
We'll see you at the Lexington Diner, where friends meet. www.lexingtondiner.com.
Hey, Chef, Azure is really hopping these days, and I know, if you look at a year-long perspective, you have the patio in the spring, summer, and fall, and those bring different things and different colors, but it is a lush, wonderful patio. Mm-hmm. And then I know that you also have chef-driven menu using local ingredients as much as possible, and that you're well known for that in the world of chefing and restaurateuring. But you have perennial favorites that are on the menu. Tell us about those.
Yeah, over the 15 years we've been doing local kind of chef-driven food, we've created some dishes that withstood kind of the menu changes, and people come for every time. Bourbon fried chicken, where we're soaking that chicken in bourbon and buttermilk and Tabasco sauce for 24 hours, and then, frying that up golden and crispy, adding fresh bourbon and cream and butter to a pan and boiling that down to whip into the mashed potatoes. That's a killer fried chicken dish. Woven shrimp has won so many awards and has so many requests. I can't even wrap enough of those. Beautiful jumbo shrimp, delicately wrapped in crispy, buttery phyllo, chopped with our Jeremyville red chili honey sauce, which is really killer. Lobster crepes, little fluffy pillows of lobster cream cheese and chives and lemon juice with tropical guava sauce, pimento cheese fritters. The dishes are there for you, and we want you to come and try them, whether it's a seasonal menu or some of these old favorites.
Now, Chef, the restaurant is open on Saturday. It's on open. Tell us the opening and when people can go and getting reservations. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so Azure has a great lunch Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. until 2:30 p.m. and then dinner opens at 5 p.m. until 10 p.m. We also have brunch on Sundays from 11 until 2:30. So killer brunch menu, all those Benedicts that you want, crab cake Benedicts, filet Benedicts, salmon Benedicts, we got them.
Yeah, and all of this can change, but that's pretty much the set times. But stay tuned. I mean, there's always new things coming along as well. And what about reservations?
Reservations are recommended on the weekends. Check out azurerestaurant.com or Open Table for that, or give us a call at 859-296-1007.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Happy New Year. It's Food News and Shoes Radio. Jeremy Ashby, Sylvia Lovely. How you guys doing?
Oh, we're good. We're good. We're ready to start a new year and
it's a new year.
New kinds of things happening. And then we've got a great guest coming on.
Yeah.
Andy Becknell.
Good friend of ours.
Renders. He's
from
a good
Jay
friend.
Render's Barbecue,
and
Southern
talking
Table.
about speakeasies, and that kind of gets us into some trends.
Right, kind of this experience dining.
Experience plus. Prohibition created the speakeasy, and that was you spoke in hushed tones because of it was during Prohibition. Right. But what it's evolved into is a new trend that chef took off after the pandemic, kind of communal.
It's kind of like communal on crack. I think we had, experienced dining and themed dinners before the pandemic, but it became such a hot ticket because it's the only way you can get together with anybody. It's like, all right, let's keep it in our pot of 10 people at one table or 5 feet away. I don't know. I can't even remember all the restrictions now. So
when
crazy.
You say like communal, or you mean like communal table, a bunch of strangers, or even people who know each other,
couches and relaxed looking things. Now,
Yeah.
in some of the bigger cities, it'd be interesting to see. And I don't know that much about the speakeasy scene here in town. I know the J. Renders one, but some of them you actually almost like you have to have a secret handshake to get in. You got to go down a hallway.
Oh yeah,
to make it mysterious, kind of like it was in Prohibition.
Right.
My favorite way to eat, and this is probably not the way to eat in COVID times, but I know you've done it at the restaurant probably pre-COVID, was when you do the themed dinners. But it's communal. Everyone sits at a table.
Yeah,
you
the
pass
7
the dishes.
fishes when it was smaller. Yeah,
That's a fun and great way to eat.
So I'm glad you're the type of person that kind of likes that, because that can cause issues in restaurants.
Oh, my wife hates it.
Right.
My wife
See,
won't
they're
some
like
people
either
don't
love or
like it.
hate.
My
Yeah.
wife won't even sit at the counter at Waffle House.
Right. I think you
because
better
it's-
let people know it's going to be that way.
Right.
Yeah, and you maybe can mix it up, because that's, I think, the thing. The modern speakeasy is different from the old kind,
exactly.
and it can double as an event space, much as the J. Renders one does. But I thought one of the interesting quotes from somebody who has one talked about, what do people do with that? Well, they share memories. Stories and memories, and they sit on those couches and it's relaxed, and there are some really high-end cocktails. Some of them serve that, so that you get very exotic kinds of things that you can share with other people. So that's kind of something that's a trend that's coming on.
Can I ask you, I know obviously you cook for a living, but do you ever have dinner parties at your home?
I do.
When you have, let's say,
I've had like 2.
My dinner parties are at Azure.
Right.
I love to have people over. And I like to, we talked about this a lot often. I like to invite people who don't necessarily know each other.
Oh, that's
and
always
have them
fun.
over.
Yeah.
And I like for people to not sit next to the people that came with.
Oh yeah, I love that when people mix it up.
Yeah, because
and
I
do
think
that.
that's a fun
But
way.
again, there are some people that don't like that.
Some people
and you
won't do
gotta
that.
be careful.
See, I have a hard time with that.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, chef, have you heard of this one? Chicken skins.
What? Oh yeah, that's good stuff.
Chicken skins.
Right, you don't
as garnish.
I like some skins, man. Now you got to know how to cook them right. Now you don't just.
Isn't that what pork rinds are?
Exactly, and the process is similar. You're gonna need to boil those skins, right?
Because you boil pork rinds.
Yeah, and then you're gonna dehydrate and then fry. But honestly, I think if you just boil the chicken skin and then do fry, and after you clean it up good, they come out really, really good. The extra step of the dehydration to make them puff after you fry it high temperature is not something I see a lot with chicken skins. Like the chicken chicharron is
You don't have to do that. You don't have to render it before. Because it's not that thick, right? It's not like pork skin where it's very thick.
Right, that's the whole key.
Well, no, you're going to have to. I think they taste good, but you're going to have to not tell me they're chicken skins. That just sounds
Sylvia,
so
you
strange.
all right? Imagine
Yeah.
what's
I don't know.
what's
There's
the
just
best
something
part of some
about
KFC, guys?
I know.
The
It's
skin,
the skin
right?
and the breading.
breading. That's all you're doing. You're just eating the breading, leaving all the chicken behind.
So can you make the fried chicken without the actual chicken with just the skin?
Well,
Just
yeah.
bread
I
it
mean,
and-
well, it won't be fried. It'll be fried chicken skin.
Well, fried
I've
chicken
had
skin.
a big old bowl of them before.
Really?
bowl of
Yeah, you
chicken
want some
skins?
hot honey or hot sauce to dip that in?
Oh, dear.
Some butter.
So that's just when you've given up on life and dieting. That's not.
no, you've embraced life and all you should be living. You're living your best life.
Hey, here's another one. Another trend is Japanese food.
Trend. Yes.
Yeah. What is that? What's driving that? Maybe it's lighter than most, or not. I don't know.
So I feel, and I haven't read what you're looking at, but I have seen a lot of Japanese bakery trending. A lot of the baked Asian.
It's more light stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it's
But in
lighter.
terms of Japanese food, I felt like we were already there. We've got a lot of Japanese influence, especially maybe it's just in our region because of Toyota.
Oh, maybe, yeah, but they
But
say
we're-
it is.
I just felt
trend.
like we're real well
That-
exposed to
I
Japanese.
feel like we're moving beyond sushi.
We
Where-
are.
For a long time, Japanese food was sushi.
Yeah,
and
that's
now we're
right.
seeing there's more than that.
And it's more worldly than that, too. I mean, that West African is coming in.
Right.
There's a Honduran restaurant that was profiled that's in Frankfurt. And I think it's, Filipino tubers.
So, I mean, what's
yams.
driving this? Is it Instagram? Is it social media where
Probably all of
people are
those
taking
things.
food of their dinner and, the Congolese and then
I
I want to eat that.
I think in general, the world's just getting smaller.
Right.
Yeah.
We're just able to go places. We're able, America's a melting pot. We have the benefit of having people.
love coupons too. The thrill of thrift is one.
Yeah.
People love to feel like So that's really interesting. I want to get to some other things, so I don't want to dwell too long on this. But space food, anything that's kind of like moon or and it's food that, remember, they've been sending into those spaceships, the international spaceship stuff. And Sullivan, our sponsor, actually has been doing some work.
Well, because in the
regard.
beginning, when they first launched the space program, the food was awful.
Yeah,
it was
and,
just
and
awful.
our own little Sullivan is partaking in some of those
and it's gotten better
experiments.
because they've engaged chefs, and obviously with technology, but they've engaged chefs in making better food. And if you can send it to space, you can also send it around the world.
All right, so here's a food question. What about eating Christmas trees?
Oh, so
What do you mean?
We're going to eat
tree.
Christmas trees now.
so there's a book.
I'm not eating Christmas trees.
A chef in England wrote a book called How to Eat Your Christmas Tree. And she's an artisan baker who says that people around the world, we harvest around 40 million Christmas trees,
yeah.
and they just get thrown away.
I've heard of them feeding them to fish, but
So turns out that the whole thing, according to her, she says is, quote, you can pretty much eat the whole thing. And it goes into what you can do. For instance, you can take the Christmas tree, what is it? The not leaves, what are they?
the little bristles.
Yeah, the little bristles. She says they're great sources of vitamin C. You can actually use them like rosemary or bay leaves.
Oh,
you can also
and spices. Okay.
yeah, you could also take the branches and use them to flavor gin or vinegar. She says
Well,
that
who
they
knew?
that they're great use as flavoring. And I know people have made people forever have made tea out of evergreen
Sure.
leaves. So she says the wood can be burned to make pine ash, which is also used as flavoring. And she says pretty much the whole thing in some way is edible.
Well, that feeds into another trend. Regenivores. Are we regenivores? You know what that means?
No.
We're not sustainable anymore because that means just status quo. Regenivores are people who are remaking things and
you go.
repurposing things. So there you go.
So have you ever used like a
I
Christmas tree flavor for like gin or vinegars or?
Oh, chef.
So spruce tips.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
that's
spruce
something
tips.
that I
Smells so good.
right. So that's something that I'm seeing a lot kind of happen in cuisine right now, and I think that's kind of maybe what would you call like a reuse, right?
Yeah.
of
Sure.
stuff. So
Regenerate.
Well, that's exactly what they're
pine
saying.
sap.
That's exactly what they're saying. You can use the spruce.
Right.
And some people will make it put
Well,
in gin or vodka and flavor.
Maybe Barbara
Right.
Bach can do a Christmas tree cookbook.
Absolutely.
You know?
So
She's
yeah,
famous for her
spruce tip.
cookbooks.
I mean, I think you could probably use that in replacement of rosemary. You know, you can make syrups and teas
sure.
and things like
Just
that. So
things we
there's a
haven't
lot
thought
of cool
about.
stuff. I mean,
Now, I know they're
I think
sinking-
what is we just haven't struggled enough, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but I
You're right.
also think that every chef knows that this reuse stuff is kind of old news to us because whenever we make something, there's always a little bit
Yeah.
left over.
Yeah.
And let's say it's 10%, right? Well, guys, think about this. Let's say you're wanting to run a 30% food cost,
Right.
and you don't use 10% of the last thing, right? You got to kind of repurpose, and things just
You're
kind of become
repurposers.
we repurpose.
Regenivores, that's what you are.
Regenivores.
For instance, over the holiday break, we had family dinners, and I made a lot of potatoes, and I peeled a lot of potatoes, and I was trying to find something to do with those potato skins, and easily toss them in the oil, put them in the air fryer, and they're actually really
Oh,
good.
I love potato skins.
But what else can you do? What else can I do? If I have like a lot of, I'm peeling potatoes, I got a lot of skins, I don't want to throw them away. What would you do with them to make sure that they live a second life, or you can eat them?
Regenivore.
Potato skins?
Yeah, or any kind of skins, but generally potato skins I think are probably the
A
most.
lot of people mash their potatoes with the skins on.
True.
So that's not something I really use. I mean, I really do use that for compost.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I guess I'd probably first thing I would do is try to make my own vodka. Right.
I like that idea.
Beyond that, dehydrating something like that can be used for, potato flakes or powder for crust, or maybe
Okay.
to fold into a, if you're gluten free, like potato powder is kind of a useful starch that you can use maybe some crab cakes, crab meat,
There
and
you
mix
go.
it in there. But I don't have a whole lot for
Yeah.
you on potato skins, potato
But in
peels.
general, you told me a tip. You
What?
told me something a couple of years ago, and I kind of did this. where you make like a food dirt, where you take
Oh,
the
yeah.
skins and the
Yeah.
onion and
Yeah,
and I
food dirt.
kind of did explain that because you bake them low and slow until they just turn to
black. Yeah, it really looks like soil, and basically you're making a very fast version of compost.
Yeah.
But you do it in a way that is thought out to where you want to think about, all right, there's this much carrot in there and this much onion peel and this much garlic peel, right? And when you dehydrate it, it looks like black soil, but a lot of the flavors are preserved. So texturally, it's kind of like eating dirt, but you get the nuances and flavors, all that stuff. And that sounds weird, but then if you like cook a whole beet and a whole carrot and you bury it in a little bowl in that little soil, it looks kind of like
Right.
you're eating out of a garden, and it's fun.
How fun.
Right, it's just a neat play. Or you can, it kind of looks like ground coffee on something.
Yeah, I
and
was
black
gonna
is a
say.
very striking color for a plate.
Yeah.
It really catches your eye. So
'cause you don't see it
black,
very often.
Yeah, you don't see it
right.
very
Black and purple, and red are colors that you don't see a whole lot of purple in nature. You don't see a whole lot of black stuff that you eat.
No,
So,
you don't.
uh,
Except
Generally,
when
if you're eating food and it's black, somebody screwed up.
Probably, yeah.
Except when you're 3 years old, like I was, and ate dirt,
There
and
you
wish
go.
that my mother would have a plate of dirt on it.
Yeah. There's this.
So-
That's called something.
I know there
pica.
is there's
It's
a
called
disease.
pica, where you eat dirt and
Yeah,
clay.
must have
and
been
things like
something
that.
wrong with me. It's lasted till
Mineral
this day.
deficiency.
So, what's going on at Azure though? There was a lot going on.
There is a lot going on. So, guys, we're into 2023, and we have basically a new year. We always close the first few days, got the place clean, kind of reset, and now we're in the tone of where do we want to go with 2023? You
Yeah.
know, and I'm kind of here wanting to ask you, the listeners, and my co-workers, what do you guys see coming up? What would you want to see at a place like Azure in 2023?
Oh,
The
that's
continuation of delicious food.
Yeah.
And not maybe I don't know. I don't know that you need to. I've already shared with you. I'd like
Right.
to have more small plates.
Small place, yeah.
I like that. I like shareables. I
Yeah,
like small
shareables.
plates. Oh God, this is a really good question. Trends that not only are we seeing, but trends that we'd like to see.
Yeah, what's missing in
Well,
like
more
say,
of
what-
your chef series dinners.
Yeah, we like
and
those.
I don't know. I know the Italian ones were just smashing success.
right? Yeah,
Is
I
we're-
there
do like
another?
I definitely.
ethnicities, ethnic food that we don't get very often. Like off the air, you mentioned Sri Lankan food.
There you go.
I don't know a lot about it, and I'd love to try it. West African food, there's not a lot. I'd love to eat a little more.
Yeah, Sri Lankan is something that I think we should explore. West African is one. I think maybe we should call Sav and see if he
Yeah,
wants to
do
come
like
hang
a-
out and show us some stuff.
Well,
'Cause I
that's
just-
another great idea is to collaborate more.
That's kind of what I think is the way to go because we're doing a lot of young new chefs at Azure and we want to
Mm-hmm.
show them the right way, maybe from an ethnic or somebody that's very authentic.
Yeah. Well, Gennaro, remember
Yeah.
Gennaro working with us on the Italian dinners?
Exactly.
Very authentic person. He came from a history of great
Mm-hmm.
Italian food
Right.
and stories.
You know
I
what else
definitely think you're going to see a lot of maybe not meat centered items.
Sure.
I mean,
I like that.
yeah. I think there might be more selections in the apps and shareables that are I don't know. I'm not trying to make them necessarily super healthy,
Yeah, but
but
just
fun
just
variations
fun
on.
things.
And I think that most ethnic preparations do that better than American.
Yeah, especially with vegetables. Absolutely. I'd love to see. You know what I'd love to see?
What?
Is I would love to see classics. Like, for instance, we talk about classic French dishes. They're not methods; they're actual recipes, and you have to follow them to a T. Like trout
Like
meuniere.
Julia Child's beef bourguignon.
Yes. Over the break, I watched
Joel Robuchon's duck
Yeah.
orange.
Right. I watched a lot of like classic food shows, like Joel Robuchon and Julia Child, and I watched a lot of that,
Yeah.
and I was like, "This is really good stuff that we got away from after like the '80s."
Sure. Oh,
And
maybe
it's-
a classic dinner.
So-
but they're really good.
like
So
like
we need to
what
do
was
it-
the great place there on Broadway that everybody said looked like a funeral home?
Coach House.
Carriage
The Coach House.
Coach House.
Yeah, Coach House. I mean, sort of like a Coach House thing.
Well,
you
there's
know?
all these, what is it called? The Great Chef series. Remember that
Yes.
old cooking show? Great
Yes,
Chef.
I
So,
love
Yeah.
that.
I mean, you could probably do a dinner and have 5 of the
Here's-
greatest chefs of all time and
When's the
their
last time
most
you had
signature recipe.
Duck à l'orange. When's the last time you
Yeah.
had a classic duck à l'orange?
Well, how
couple
about
months.
how about Indian food? How about
Yes.
Indian
How
food?
about it?
Lots of people, and there really aren't a lot of places. And my kids young people love Indian food. I must have several friends in their 30s that are constantly, and there must be different regions of India.
Sure.
It's not all
well,
one
for instance,
monolithic.
A new Nepalese restaurant just opened in Lexington over on Alexandria Drive, and food from Nepal very similar to food from India, but it's more mountainous, so it's a little more hearty, and it is different. It's a different cuisine.
I can't wait to try that.
Like continents. You could go to continents.
Right, kind of the around the world.
Stay away from
tour
Russia
series.
for right now. You know?
Maybe it'd be a good idea to do a Ukraine dinner right now.
Yeah, Ukraine.
Oh, dude, I'm down. I can get down with some
So
pierogies.
we'll do that at the end of January.
Yeah,
I like that.
Okay.
Ukrainian
That's
dinner.
you know what? It's good hearty winter food too.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is. A borscht,
Really
and
is.
pierogies. Whew.
So along with that, guys, we're just kind of ready to get this year started. I see a lot of cool trends coming up, but more importantly, I see some normality. I think normality in the foods you're going to buy at the grocery store, the farmers you may have seen at the farmers market, the distributors. I just see like this might be the year that we get to level out in our industry. And I'm sounding somber because I think a lot of the world got to restart back in maybe the beginning of 21, and that really we really have been on a roller coaster since the pandemic.
Do you think
in our industry?
moving forward, people will actually want to go back? Because we want to go back to the way things were before, when you could go out and eat with impunity and not have to worry about masks or anything. Maybe that's what maybe the future is going back a couple of years.
Yeah. You just wish at some point things could, and it'll never happen, to get settled. We just know too much. The world is so big, and it's wonderful that it is, but it also means, maybe more kind of community-minded, bringing... maybe the old Cheers thing is coming back.
I like it, Sylvia. That would be my goal right now. Is I kind of want to give Lexington a big hug, in our neighborhood and our community and our people and our regulars, and just spend some time with them this year.
Yeah.
Let's just be us and have some fun together. And we've gone through a lot. Let's kind of catch up and make some good food and share a table.
Well, speaking of comfort food, barbecue is one of my favorites. And coming up next, we're going to talk to Chef Andy Becknell, who is at J. Render Southern Table, and talking about barbecue. We're going to talk some barbecue and some other things coming up next. Food News and Choose Radio.
Hey, Chef, Azure is really hopping these days. And I know, if you look at a year-long perspective, you have the patio in the spring, summer, and fall. And those bring different things and different colors, but it is a lush, wonderful patio. And then I know that you also have chef-driven menu using local ingredients as much as possible, and that you're well known for that in the world of chefing and restaurateuring. But you have perennial favorites that are on the menu. Tell us about those.
Yeah, over the 15 years we've been doing local kind of chef-driven food, we've created some dishes that withstood kind of the menu changes, and people come for every time. Bourbon fried chicken, where we're soaking that chicken in bourbon and buttermilk and Tabasco sauce for 24 hours, and then, frying that up golden and crispy, adding fresh bourbon and cream and butter to a pan and boiling that down to whip into the mashed potatoes. That's a killer fried chicken dish. Woven shrimp has won so many awards and has so many requests. I can't even wrap enough of those. Beautiful jumbo shrimp, delicately wrapped in crispy, buttery phyllo, chopped with our Jeremyville red chili honey sauce, which is really killer. Lobster crepes, little fluffy pillows of lobster, cream cheese, and chives and lemon juice with tropical guava sauce, pimento cheese fritters. The dishes are there for you, and we want you to come and try them, whether it's a seasonal menu or some of these old favorites.
Now, Chef, the restaurant is open on Saturday. It's on open. Tell us the opening and when
then
people can go and getting reservations. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so Azure has a great lunch Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. until 2:30 p.m. and then dinner opens at 5 p.m. until 10 p.m. We also have brunch on Sundays from 11 until 2:30. So killer brunch menu, all those Benedicts that you want, crab cake Benedicts, filet Benedicts, salmon Benedicts, we got them.
Yeah, and all of this can change, but that's pretty much the set times. But stay tuned. I mean, there's always new things coming along as well. And what about reservations?
Reservations are recommended on the weekends. Check out azurerestaurant.com or Open Table for that, or give us a call at 859-296-1007.
And we're back. It's Food News and Choose Radio. Thanks for joining us. We're going to talk about a restaurant that we're all fans of and a new concept that it's doing. Jay Render's Barbecue. Jay Render's out in Palomar.
My co-grandparents own
Co-grandparents with that. So you guys are all
Ren and
intertwined.
Gwen.
Head chef, executive chef, Andy Becknell is with us. He's been on the show before. Glad to have you back, man.
Yeah.
Man, it's great to be here, guys.
And just relatively new at Jay Render's, right?
I am relatively new. I've been there since August.
Yeah.
So it's been a good transition.
Well, Andy, you know, he's got a good pedigree. He got to work with us for a long time.
Oh, there you go.
And very well loved. So, you know, whatever he brings to the table is going to be awesome, and especially in the past. And you've done some other projects kind of throughout the past before Renders, but Renders is a big project, I think, because there's a lot of different operating parts of that business.
Well, I got to tell you, I had some of his food. I went to it was a drag show, as fun as you can imagine, Helena Handbasket. And we've had Anthony Smallwood on the show before during the Aval Drive.
Good show.
Drag shows, drag brunches are amazing. They're amazing.
It was so fun, but I got to tell you, the star of the show was Andy and his short ribs. I mean, they melted in your mouth.
Nice. Well,
They
tell me.
were
Well,
perfect.
let's just talk food. Tell me about the short ribs, Andy.
So this time of year, I love braised items. You know, and short ribs are one of those that just kind of really feeds my soul.
Yeah, they'll feed your belly too. They'll
Oh,
stick to your
yeah.
ribs.
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
That kind of slow cooked one pot comfort food this time of year is that's what you think like I do. That's what we're like. We wake up thinking about like, okay, what does the day feel like? How do I want to serve it up in a bowl or in a plate with a spoon?
Does the weather outside really change, like what you're going to cook that?
Probably change your attitude. Your
What do you
palate.
cook on a rainy day? Like we had that barrage of rain.
Right, so I don't remember
Soup.
exactly, but you know there would be some kind of hearty soup. You know,
Yeah, soup.
I don't. It goes back to those comfort foods. I don't really.
Yeah. Well, how much planning do you put? I know, Chef, I know a little bit about your planning process. How much planning do you put into, or do you get up in the morning and, okay, we're going to try
So
this?
I guess it depends on the week or what the event is. If it's an event, I actually go through quite a bit of planning. You know, if I'm doing like a four or five course meal, it's a lot of planning and seeing what's going to flow together. You know, working with my general manager and seeing what wine pairings we're going to deal with. Weekend specials, it's kind of I wake up and what I feel like doing. My specials are food that I love to eat, and so you know if I'm feeling comfort foods, it's going to be a braised item. If I'm feeling more lighthearted, it's going to be more of a citrusy salad type of thing.
Yeah,
you
maybe
know?
in the summertime. Yeah,
Yes.
that would be really good.
All right, this might be a dumb question, but when it comes to weather, are there certain things, not just because, braised dishes in winter feel better, are there certain things like, let's say on a rainy day, I don't make blank because it doesn't come out right? Like this weather
Yeah,
affects
weather
certain
does
foods?
science.
Oh, you
That's
see
science.
Are they
that with
temperamental?
baking sometimes, but you know what? I don't think there's like any perfect condition. You just got to get in there and
Yeah,
work
humidity,
it out.
maybe something like
I
that.
mean, humidity does affect proofing and certain things, but like I said, you can't just not make.
Yeah.
You got to get in there and figure it out. So yeah, there's some temperance there, but I think more of it goes back to like the feel of the day and what you want to react to, especially. I mean, the chef completely missed the mood too. You know, like we could
Sure.
feel dark and gloomy.
You're right.
And it could be bright and sunshine
Right.
outside, and we could just totally, miss the mark on what people are going for that day. But like to change your mood, I mean, just do the kind of opposites. Sometimes, comfort food feels warm and cozy, but you might need an uplift. You may need to go with some citrus and a salad to kind of
Yeah.
liven up the palate and kind of get you moving. Like, hey, I'm a little lighter on
Yeah.
my toast today. Sometimes I eat salads for breakfast in the wintertime.
Oh, I know.
Kind of weird, right?
That
But
is kinda
it really
strange,
does
yeah.
keep you light on your toes. It fills you up, kind of, but not for long. But
Yeah.
it kind of gives you that little boost of minerals
Yeah.
energy. Doesn't bog you down.
How do you work with? I know Ren is a meat master. I mean, he has been doing it for a long time, and did a lot of barbecue. How do you all coordinate? Like, does he cook the meat, or do you cook the meat? How does that work?
Since I've taken over, they're teaching me every aspect of this business, and the first place they started me was in the meat world. So my day starts off, I come in, I'll start breaking down our briskets, I'll break down our pork butts, our ribs, and I start loading the smoker first thing in the morning. And I've learned all that from
Okay.
Ren and his techniques. And, we use his spice rubs, we have a brisket rub, we have a pork rub, we have a special rub for our chicken. And we use all that. And that's where we get our day started. Then I will start working with my prep crew and seeing how their prep list is going on and see if there's anything I can help guide them on or show them some techniques that's going to make their life a little bit easier. And then I'll move my way to the front line where I start checking on my line guys, making sure we're all set up, ready for business. And that's where I usually come up with, sometimes I'll do a weekday special. And if I do a weekday special, like I call it my 10-minute commute special. On my way to work, I'll just kind of just let my brain free flow. And that's usually where I come up with my specials. It's just...
It's improv. Like
yeah.
You got to be able to improv.
Yeah, improv.
Or if Brussels sprouts, there was a great deal on Brussels sprouts. Well, we got to figure out how to use 80 pounds of Brussels sprouts today.
Right.
So, and that's on the Jay Render side. And we were talking off air, the new concept that's out there as well, which is more of a speakeasy private dining concept, right?
Yeah. And that's an amazing facility. We can fit about 60 people in there. But it does have a Prohibition 1920s speakeasy feel.
Which is kind of casual, but high-end cocktails.
Yes,
and,
definitely high-end cocktails.
Kind of a combo thing.
And, the thing about the high-end cocktails, and one of the reasons I was brought in is for my specials. And so this allows me a chance to kind of shine my culinary.
Yeah, be creative.
Yeah.
Like the short ribs that night.
So I can do custom menus in our speakeasy. I'll match with our general manager. We'll come up with some stuff like that. Also, we can do regular menu items. It's just a nice private space to just kind of enjoy yourself.
And by the way, the general manager is our good friend Josh Brown, right? That's
Yep. And see, I love how connected this group is. Like,
I know, we're like
the
family.
Azure group is, we've always been family, and I'm really appreciative of everything. And then when I started Jay Renders, the old GM from Azure was there, so. It's just been a natural progression. Like the universe has brought all of us back together again, brought us all back together out in Beaumont. We're one big happy family out there.
It's all like the universe making us make more good food for Lexington, which I'm all about. It's like the town's grown a whole lot. And back to this private dining speakeasy thing, that's one of the biggest trends I'm really seeing kind of focus in after the pandemic is not exactly elite speakeasies where you can't get in, but, a place where you can get some intimate friends or 10 or 20 people and kind of have a private room.
Couch or
we
whatever.
It's almost like private dining became in the mainstream because that's the only dining you could do for a while. It almost became like the hot ticket in town, whoever had the small room.
Yeah.
And now I think people have kind of seen that, okay, well, I can make a more intimate setting for... It could be a kid's baseball team, after a good soccer game or a tournament.
Yeah.
But, and guys like us, we like it because we can design menus for experience. And chefs from the get-go, before the pandemic, always wanted the whole experience to be good. Like,
well, that's where we're all heading is experiential.
Right. So whenever we can do a dinner that has a theme, that has a menu that we're in control, and we can make it for you, I think things go well.
Yeah.
People are looking for that because we can wow them. Experience dining.
As a chef, obviously there are certain things you have to make because people expect them. And if you're making a restaurant, they got to be consistent. You got to make the same thing over and over. It's like a band that plays the hits. But every once in a while, you want to play the new stuff. And I imagine, is that when you're doing the private dining thing, 30 people, or an intimate dinner party, that's where you get to have a little fun, right? That's free for a chef. That's what would be considered fun.
Oh, of course. And even in the menu planning process of that is just a blast. But, especially whereas, we're a Southern table and a barbecue place, that does give me a chance to really shine. Also, I love to shine on the weekends with my specials. Right now, I've kind of been playing around with I call it like a Southern mix, kind of like a Tex-Mex mix. I did a ancho chili brisket hot brown a while ago.
Oh, how interesting.
So I made an ancho chili mornay sauce. I did pico de gallo on it. I used our brisket and Texas toast, just for the bread. Kind of our version of a hot brown, kind of like a South meets the Mexican.
Well, as the world gets smaller, I mean, it started with Korean tacos, right? And as the world gets smaller, food's going to have to, having that sounds like a natural progression. Like, having a brisket on a hot brown sounds amazing.
Yeah, like having brisket on a pizza. I mean, people are getting creative.
He's thinking as he should. He's doing his job as a chef, and it's a killer dish. But what's cool is it sells now. Like before, I don't know, the year 2000, you couldn't get away with much but meat and potatoes. Or if you're an Italian, you want to do Italian, you go to an Italian restaurant. Chinese.
And now it's fusion.
Food Network, the big insurgence of trained chefs and independent restaurants. you get a lot of blends of ethnicities because we're all looking for that next trend. Like right now, like Sri Lankan food and some of this ethnic stuff is really popping out.
Honduran food in Frankfurt.
Whenever we can take those little influences and sprinkle it on our stuff to give you a taste, get you familiar, that's when magic starts to happen.
I think
because
that's
once you guys know what certain things are, then you see more of it.
It's really going to open up and we see more of it as we continue to emerge from the pandemic. What's your favorite thing to cook? What's your favorite go-to dish?
I love chicken and dumplings.
Nice.
I was originally born in southeastern Kentucky in a place called Clay County.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Slick 'em downs or drop dumplings?
I'll slick them down.
Okay. Good.
What does that mean?
Just want to make sure he's legit.
Please,
Explain the difference.
Explain the difference.
Okay, well, if you around here in this region, slick 'em downs is where your granny said boil the old hen and then take the hen out of the stock, and then you get 2 fistfuls of flour and a walnut of shortening. And then you add a little bit of the broth from that hen and roll out your dumplings into strips and tear them over the pot of boiling stock. And then you add the meat back in. You've got chicken and dumplings. Flavored with salt and pepper. There ain't a vegetable in this thing. Now, drop dumplings are the same thing, except for people just use canned biscuit dough or like a dough that has a leavening agent, such as, baking soda, baking powder. And it makes the dumplings kind of puffed, usually round and kind of odd-shaped. I like them both, but my granny... And around here, we ate slick 'em downs.
Slick 'em downs.
So slick 'em downs would be almost considered like a dense noodle. Or is it kind of a fair statement?
Yeah, I mean, you've seen those old-fashioned noodles in a bag,
Yeah.
They're not like quite egg noodles, but they're this is just
dense.
Broth, flour,
They're
and
a noodle
shortening.
that doesn't mess around.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's just kind of floppy dough, and it's delicious. Who doesn't want a big bowl of that?
Well, yeah.
So the secret to my chicken and dumplings, though, is I found out that pork rinds on top just make this dish absolutely
Pork rinds.
right.
Yeah, I can because it needs a texture, right?
It does, and then you get
And
the
they're crunchy.
saltiness, and then it's another animal that they played with on the farm, so it's just a natural marriage.
Right, because pigs and chickens go together. Not a problem. And eggs,
you too.
chicken,
Say if
pig.
it goes together, if it grows together, it goes together.
That's
I prefer the end product and not think about them playing together.
No, wait, and I think, didn't you do smoked chicken and dumplings at one point in time?
Yeah,
That's
I
good
did.
too. Did you smoke flour or the chicken?
I actually smoked the biscuits.
Yeah, okay, smoked. Yeah, that's awesome. See, I like that. That's kind of fun because when you talk about smoking flours and doughs like that, it really permeates.
Yeah. What about like chicken pot pie? I've seen it now with biscuits on top of it. Which is the better
It's a
crust?
shortcut. I'm not mad at it. It's kind of lazy, but I mean,
Yeah.
I think a pie crust is going
better.
to be kind of what you like, the buttery, flaky pie crust. I
See, I
think
love
is
a good
good.
puff pastry on top.
You like puff pastry, and that's good. That's a laminated
on
dough.
a
It's got
chicken
tons
pot
of
pie.
butter in
Okay.
there.
See, I grew up with
I
the
love
Bisquick
Popeye.
chicken pot pie, which is probably what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's mom made or Jiffy, where it's almost
Yeah,
like
you use-
it's almost like a biscuit on top.
Yeah, I saw a
Yeah,
recipe for that.
I think they're all good, Sylvia.
I
They really
know.
are. But there's
They
something
are.
about, when you say I made homemade chicken pot pie,
Yeah,
and
you
I
like to
made
think of the crust. Yeah,
Right.
that you make
then
the crust.
you get to brag. It takes it to a whole other level. And then all those little bits of like dough that are left over, you get to make them into flours and stuff and put them on the crust, and it looks
Oh, how
so
fun.
wonderful.
So how much do you participate in the catering business? Are you...
Quite a bit. So I oversee everything when it comes to that. I'm actually in the production side of putting our meals together, making sure our quantities are correct, making sure everything gets out the door. So from start to finish, minus answering the phone and actually taking the order, I'm pretty much involved with most of it.
Okay.
What is it? So going from not necessarily just fine dining, but going from a more traditional culinary background, restaurant, to going to a restaurant that is known for barbecue. What changes and what have you learned in the barbecue world? Because the barbecue world, barbecuing is completely different than traditional kitchen cooking, right?
So here's the secret. My passion is barbecue. Always has been. And Jeremy knows this. Like, he's had some of mine from back in the day. So when this opportunity came about, it was a natural fit. Like, yes, I'm classically trained and I can cook some amazing dishes with butter and flour and bacon and, all that good stuff.
Traditional, really good
Right,
stuff.
traditional good stuff. But my passion, again, is anything that's slow and low. And barbecue just is that you have to have love put into barbecue for it to come out correctly. And, I've always said if you love the food will love you. And barbecue is like quintessential food.
It's patience.
It is.
You can't rush it. It's not going to rush. It's going to cook in its own. And every brisket cooks differently.
It does. And, and it's also stoking the fire and, watching how the flames are, watching where the smoke's going. And
there's a romance behind the whole
it
process.
Really is.
I don't know of any other breed of person other than bakers that will dedicate as much time and physical and mental health to cooking and barbecue pit masters and the bakers and barbecue pit masters. Those guys are just enigmas because they'll literally like crawl in the smoker with the meat for several hours
just
and stay up all night to tend to that fire.
Also, there's got to be kind of a loner mentality to like bakers like to bake at night when everyone's gone. They get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and they start baking and it's quiet and they do their thing. Again, barbecue is you have a lot of solo time, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of time to sit and think and maybe have a couple beers or something.
Yeah, and kind
start
of
working on those
hang out with the meat.
So tell me more about like the speakeasy. You got some themed dinners coming up for 2023, special events. Where do you guys want to go with this?
So for the next 3 months, we have events coming up. We have something on the 22nd. We're going to do a lobster Newburg. With that, we're doing some great wine pairings with that. Josh has some great wines coming in. In March, we're looking to do a Sazerac theme. It's Mardi Gras, it's New Orleans. It's
Just Cajun Creole foods.
Yeah.
That's
and again,
good.
that's another one of those slow and low things, like to make a great
gumbo or
and all that. You have to really take your time on make love to it, like risotto. And the final product will let you know. Then in April, we're going to do some St. Patty's stuff. I have a shepherd's pie with purple potatoes and cream leek that's just out of this world.
That'll look cool too with the purple potato.
Yeah, I love playing with purple potatoes.
It's fun.
I love hearing people say, "Oh, are these potatoes dyed?" No, actually, they came like this from from Peru.
Hey, the tuber of the year coming up is a purple yam from the Philippines.
Is that the Okinawa sweet potato, or they have? Well, there's
I don't know, it
different
says
names for
purple
it.
yam.
Purple yam. Okay.
I'm sorry. Did you just say tuber of the year?
Yeah,
Is that a thing? Is that like a
tuber.
thing
I
wasn't
actually
aware?
have that poster. Or it's not actually no, it's a calendar. Right?
Does it fold out? Is
Tuber
it
of-
a centerfold?
Tuber of the year, the
the month,
centerfold
yeah.
tuber.
Yeah, that's right. Look at the Yukon Golds on that one.
I'm gonna need to get my hands on that.
Need to russet that potato.
Man, a pair of yams like so. What's it like? What do you call it? The Filipino?
Yeah, it's from the Philippines. A purple yam,
Are we?
which is not a sweet potato,
Yeah,
right?
yams and so as I understand it, you
Yeah,
can probably
they're different.
Yams, what we call yams, are actually not yams, right? Or am I?
Well, we
we
call
call
sweet
sweet
potatoes
potatoes
yams,
are
but
not
they're
sweet
not
potatoes.
technically.
Correct.
So
but
what's
they look
what?
alike.
Well, I mean,
What's the thing I
yam
eat
and
and
a
think-
sweet potato? You probably eat a lot of yams and think they're sweet potatoes.
What's the
You know
thing
the
I
crooked
eat-
little ones that are skinny and like have little, they're like pointy.
Yeah.
Those are the sweet potatoes, and the big fat ones are yams.
What are the things at the grocery store that they on Thanksgiving they make 39 cents a pound and they got tons of them?
That's yams.
Yeah.
Those are actual yams. Those aren't sweet potatoes.
They're not sweet. The sweet potatoes are the smaller ones that are kind of, crooked at the end and pointy, and they're much. It's a different flavor than
What's-
the yam.
what's the
yams
different-
are kind of like watered
Well,
down.
are they?
sweet potatoes.
Oh, because I love whatever it is. I love sweet potatoes.
being-
Bake them.
Yeah, they're good. I mean, what I guess here's my thing. If I have yams, and I try to roast them or bake them. Sweet
Yeah.
potatoes you can boil or whatever. They're just more
Yeah.
meat, more meat. But the yams like meatier, but just kind of half flavored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the thing you get, if you go to like the big chain restaurants where you throw the peanuts on the floor and they come baked with the cinnamon and sugar on top, those are actual yams, not sweet potatoes.
Probably yams. Yeah.
Wow. Man, I think I'm
Wow.
doing something today.
Wow.
I could be wrong. I mean, I don't know what they're buying. I haven't eaten there in a while, so.
I can't imagine they're getting the expensive Filipino yams.
Yeah.
No.
But they're not the only ones. They're not the only tubers coming.
Well, hey, we'll talk more about tuber a year. Don't go all in so fast. We got about a minute left. I just want to talk to about J Renders and the new concept of J Renders, the private dining facility that's there too. If you want to make reservations or see specials, where do people go to find you guys?
You can go to our website. You can reach out to us on Facebook. You can call the restaurant. Any one of those places can put you in touch with.
Andy Becknell, the new chef at.
And check out
J
Facebook
Renders.
for those specials too. You
Yes.
guys typically will post those on social media leading up to it, so you have a chance to come and see it.
I'm fortunate we have a great social media team, so please follow us on J Renders Facebook. Again, specials will be listed every week, and they change. Also, we list our private dining events coming up, so the event that we have in January, we're going to list details of that, how you can get involved, and also how you can rent the room out.
That's great. It's like throwing a dinner party for your friends, but you don't have to clean up or cook.
There you go.
That's right.
Nice.
Yeah.
We do all the hard work for you.
Yeah, I kind of like that. All right, Andy Becknell, Jay Renders, thank you so much.
Thank you,
man.
Andy.
Guys, thank you all so much.
Great talking to you. Back in a moment, Food News and Choose Radio.